Hello there, and welcome to another video on some gong training and tips. So before we get into the techniques and the basics of how to play a gong and what you're looking for, let's look at the gong itself. So the gong, how a gong is made. So we've talked about the composition of the gong and what it's made of. And let's look at how the gong is made itself. So the gong, it comes in sheet metal first of all, and Germany is quite rich in these alloys of copper, zinc and nickel. So to make an alloy, because the shipping cost is quite heavy, this is why they originate a lot in Germany area, in Europe. So these gongs that we work with, and a range of different sizes and thicknesses, so depending on what sort of tone you want. So if it's a very deep tone gong, like an earth gong, the element gongs that I work with, has a much more deeper tone, so the thickness of the metal is a lot more thinner. The higher tone that you want, so a lot more richer in sound, deeper, not deeper, but more richer in sound with more overtones, then you're looking at a gong that's a lot more thicker in the metal. This is a 42-inch water gong, new style water gong, and it's a lot more thinner than the Cosmo gong or the air gong, and it's about the same thickness as the earth gong, so it has quite a deep tone, but the striations are very similar to the Cosmo gong, and so it gives this range of mysticism and almost a haunting sound of depth and also overtones, which is very, very beautiful. So the heating and cooling process which it goes through takes a number of months to go through. This gong took about 2 months to make, on and off. It goes through a process called tempering, which is a heating and cooling process. So it's heated with a blowtorch, and then the edges are bent inwards to create a very rounded edge, which creates the symphonic sounds as well as the face of the gong itself. So as the center is heated from the other side, then the edges are heated and then bent, and then as this metal bends, it slightly pulls in the face of the gong and makes it tighter, and which is then able to tune the gong. Now these gongs that I work with, they don't come from Paiste. Paiste are a different manufacturer, and they are tuned. So if you're looking for a tuned gong at a certain frequency, then go and look for one that you are looking for, like a tuned frequency gong. These gongs that I work with, they aren't tuned. They are done by the ear for the love of the sound. So they're element gongs: earth, air, fire, water, Cosmo, moon gong, like a dream gong. They're done for the love of the sound. So they've been made in such a way that the characteristics of the sound of the gong reflects their element. So how this gong is made goes through a number of heating and cooling processes. It goes through a process of hammering to make indentations, of tuning to give some high pitches and frequencies, but not really concerned about reaching any specific frequency. Always the center is usually quite clean and clear, and that gives a lot more sort of resonance, a deeper sort of tone from the core, and then the frequencies go out. So there's some sweet spots in the gong, usually around here, 4 or 5 o'clock, mid-range. With tuned gongs such as Paiste, Minor and other places, then it's always important to never play the gong in the direct center, because that's usually where the tuning comes from itself. So how a gong is made, it's locked in mysticism and secrecy for many, many years. And since the 1940s, Paiste have been making gongs, range of different sizes, 24 inches up to 80 inches. It wasn't until the 1980s that the Paiste gongs started getting a lot more attention to sound therapists who wanted to use it for concerts, for relaxation, because they found that was working well. And then a researcher called Hans Cousteau started developing frequencies regarding sort of the planets, the Earth frequencies, and so Paiste started to use his tones in their gongs, and this is where the whole therapist movement came from, for people who wanted to do sound healing. So to make a gong has a long history in a lot of secrecy and mysticism, No one will usually tell you how a gong is made. You can't really buy blanks to make them yourself. I did try that. I was interested in making my own as well. I really want to learn and know how to make gongs, but that time will come. So the gong starts off with a sheet metal, which is round, a round disc, and different sizes, and it's bent in a way. Usually it starts off with bending the edges, heating the center, and then it goes through a range of different handle marks, indentations, striations to make it look beautiful. Sometimes put logos on it depending on what company you look at. So the gong making can take a long process. It's a work of art, and only so many people in the world are able to make gongs. It's a long lost secret that isn't. It's a secret which is kept in the family of the gong makers only, and there have been other makers, manufacturers come out of pasty since its creation. So making of a gong isn't just about pouring the mold, a molten metal into a mold and expecting the gong to be finished. It takes a number of months to make a gong this size, and it goes for a lot of work. So when you see a gong next time, don't just look at it, observe it, have a listen, because a lot of work has gone into each gong itself.